Upon entering the city in the outskirts of Brooklyn, the actual night sky is jeweled with stars. From smog not being able to be seen, a cold, crisp night welcomes you as April has become into the spring, a very cool and temperate season. Off of the Hudson and, of course, the ocean, a cool breeze beckons you to a bodega south into Brooklyn. There you are being beckoned and called by your mistress, hoping to help you as she has now seen your state of mind. Before you approach even closer, you hear Madame Guy's voice. Darling, I know that you are unwell. I will help as best as I can.
Mm, yes, ma'am.
I want you to trust me once you come inside. I will undoubtedly help you out of this monstrosity that these knaves have done to you.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, please, approach. Come into the bodega.
And she will. Question, am I still seeing shit?
You are still seeing shit. And the funny thing is now that you're inside the bodega, it's an art gallery that's displaying all these different UV pictures and lights of close-ups of different insects and pollen and roses. Everything in a cataclysmic color, a kaleidoscope of pure ingenuity and explicit close-up of the pistons of a flower. In it, it plays with your mind as if you see the monstrosities have followed you from Paducah here. But calmly, you hear a soft voice guiding you forward. Don't be scared. Come forward.
She's gonna real timidly just pad her way. Although, literally it does not look like her. She is literally a Japanese man.
For a second, you see Madame Guil be taken back, and then realizes, of course, that perhaps you weren't forthcoming of your actual lineage. But it is very slip. You see a slight tremor of anger, but is immediately overshadowed by the very visage of loveliness. Take a deep breath, and by the count of 3, you will be alleviated. 1, 2, 3. There's an oversensing of warmth and light that comes cascading over through you from this visage of loveliness. It is almost as if cherubs of angels are picking you up and making you see light for the first time. Sun ray, once again, as a memory being torn from your very, 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 very distant past. It's like you're basking in front of it without the fear of the beast coming for. Your beast has been quieted as you are cascaded with the showers of love and admiration. Respect and charismatic as this voice speaks to you. She is the only focus. She is the only want. She is the only thing that you want to please. Everything else slips away into the madness of nothing and carrying away all of your previous neurosis, causing only to be eclipsed by the visage of love.
She's gonna drop the clothing rod and bolt right over to her and just collapse on the floor in front of her in utter tears.
Oh, no. Shh. Now, dear child. You're a rose. There is no need for tears. You're a proud member of the garden, and as such, those that have stripped you of your morality and have stripped you of your sanity shall be vanquished. Shh. No need for tears. Look up now, dear child. Look.
She will, although it's pretty bloody at this particular point.
Now. Faint whispers have come to me, but more so, things that I find disturbing. What has happened to you, dear child? Why is your mind so fractured?
May I show you?
You may.
I don't have that gift. I'm not strong enough yet.
That is quite all right. I will once again tether our minds. Are you okay for me to explore within your mental capacity?
Yes, ma'am, although you may not like what you find.
It's quite all right. With a very cold, calculating gaze, Madame Guil closes her eyes, and when she opens them once more, you're into a box that is a blank slate within your mind, wrapped around in what looks to be a vice grip of barbed and razor wire stripping away at your mental capacity. But with her sitting in that mental frame, that white box, you feel like you're being pressed up against by the wings of an angel to show whatever it is that you want to show Madame Guil. Now, child, we will keep the demons at bay. Go ahead. Show me what it is that you'd love to show me.
She will show you a phone call between her and Thecla where she basically well, strike that. Let's start at the beginning.
Very well.
She will show you Bobby Morgan coming to her asking to shelter him from the Tremere of Paducah for a period of time, you know, before the arena fight, because he was afraid that that they were going to mess with him. And you will also notice that she is a little bit more predisposed to granting his wish. Like she is one step bound to Morgan because she did learn an out of clan discipline from him.
Mm-hmm.
So she agrees to it. She orders, you know, her shipment in of bags, but they're completely and totally just destroyed. So she is reduced to animals on the farm. She hunts down deer, but she can't give Bobby what she had promised, which was, you know, don't worry about feeding, I'll take care of it. And she's just like, I can't give him this. It's destroyed. And so she goes to the arena fight, sees the arena fight, watches as Bobby removes all the bonds from Gabriel right before he flings himself into the obtenebration tentacles and goes into torpor. And you see Catherine get like attacked because the now Prince Schultz is like, bring her to me. Catherine goes into damage torpor, and Thecla runs up and cashes in a life boon with Gabriel for the custody of Catherine's body. Catherine, Rita carries Catherine's body and follows Thecla into what once was Anarch territory. They are accosted by a pack of Sabbat that Rita had no idea. She knew that they didn't have status, and Thecla admitted that they were Sabbat, at which point she now has a pacifist and a torpid unknown woman to her. So she flings herself in between Thecla and Catherine's body, and spins the point for celerity, and is right before, you know, they basically back off. Because, I mean, Rita just literally, the words that spill out of this woman's mouth, you would not have thought possible. I mean, we're talking GDF, you know, she is literally turned into the white fluffy bunny of Monty Python.
Mm-hmm.
The Sabbat member backs off, And Thecla cashes in what appears to be a boon with to Rita, it's a beautiful redhead woman that, is just, I mean, we're talking like appearance 6 or 7, like a she. And Rita does have face sight. But like there's plants that start growing out of the ground, and all of a sudden all the bonds are gone, including the ones to the pyramid. Rita doesn't understand what that means. She just knows all the bonds are gone. She's like, well, that's good, I guess. Okay, well, this is okay. The Sabbat member comes back. She starts to throw herself again in front of them, but like she can't. She's so terrified that she literally just bolts and hides.
Darling, stop there for a moment, if you please. Are you to tell me that what Her Grace Boulevard had asked for, the head of the Golconda Seeker held a boon over the current prince of Paducah?
Yes, ma'am, that's exactly what I'm telling you.
What kind of boon was it?
From what I understand, it was a life boon. That's what those were the words. She cashed in a life boon for custody of Catherine's body.
You are telling me that the current prince of Paducah owed a life boon to the heretic?
Yes, ma'am. That's exactly what I'm telling you.
Oh, okay. Allow me to compose myself once more. That was a little bit... Well, we'll revisit that in a minute. There's more pressing matters I am sure that you're going to share with me, but that one sticks out to me quite more so than most of the other things that you have said thus far. So you're telling me that the person that I favored, Catherine of Clan Tremere, was to find herself to be torpedoed and destroyed by the Prince Gabriel of Paducah?
Brought to him, I believe, was his words, ma'am.
I see. Well, please continue with this heroic tale.
So she will then show you that she received a phone call, that she double checked and made sure that everything was fine. That because basically Catherine was brought out of torpor. Forgive me, the player does not remember how, but I remember Catherine was brought out of torpor. There's been so much stuff that has gone on. Like, Catherine was brought out of torpor, and she walked away. And like she looked over to Thecla and was like, "Am I free to go now? Do you still need me?" "Yeah, you're free to go. I got this." "Okay." And she went home. She gets a phone call the next dusk, and it's Thecla, and Thecla's telling her that they crucified him. Like, she's hearing the tale of Bobby's crucifixion. She knew that Bobby had died somehow because there was a dead man switch set off. Which was odd because the praxis had been decided. Yeah, that was a bit brutal to her.
Well, as you say this, since you're mind linked with Guy, you see her go off and think of Anika as she was showing sympathy and empathy towards Empress Irina. You see her take that emotion, bring it back to her forefront of her memory to show you sympathy for Bobby. It's basically the sense of like drinking cola that has been placed through a Brita filter 15 times.
Yeah. I mean, but I mean, understand that Guy will also see that Rita sees what she's doing, but there is like it isn't pity. There's still that compassion. Rita has not had the humanity hit yet. She's not done anything completely and totally brutal enough to make her take a humanity hit. So there is compassion shown. Because all this is still fresh and it's new and it's raw. So once she finds that out, she goes back to Paducah to try and figure out why, in the middle of the IA trying to take the anarchs and use them as meat shields and start an anarch civil war, Irene trying to use the tensions between the IA and the tower, and all of the chaos that comes from that, and literally bring down the entire ivory tower. She's showing you what she believes, like what she told Whitehill.
Right.
Why in the middle of all this that this idiot goes and does something that disgusting. Like she is livid because she has literally spent months traveling and, spent things she didn't have to try and get to the bottom of this and to try and stop this war. And to try and save her sect. So she meets with the seneschal in a church. She requests that, that this be done on Elysium. The seneschal says no. So they meet in a church, and because they have been around Thecla and been around an open seeker and all this other bullshit, they start, it's real easy to see. And you will also see that she's like, she will admit, I looked for the road. Thecla told me that there was a way for me to go back to the cloister. I just couldn't find the road. I looked for it. Bitch lied to me. Like literally, bitch lied to me.
Thecla was the one that lied to you.
Right. That's what she's essentially telling you, that Thecla lied to her and gave her false hope. That there, that there is no, there's nothing. There's, yeah. It's a fairy tale.
You see such hatred and rage just tinge everything of this mentality that you're sharing. It is such a force. It's like being hit by a typhoon at full blast as you're holding on to a palm tree for dear life.
Can I tell who it's directed at?
It's going towards Thecla.
So, she will also sit there and tell you that in the middle of all this, she did, she will sit there and tell you the tale of Clan Salubri. Like, she found out that the Tremere themselves, went and, diablerized and the closest thing to a saint that, that the damned have, that they went and committed a genocide to try and hide this fact, and that even if Golconda is a lie, that these are innocent people. Nobody should have to bear the brunt of hatred for the misadventure. This is where her anarch tendency is going to show up. So just bear with me for a second. Nobody should have to bear the brunt of the misadventure or the blessing of who their sire was. The sins of the father should never fall to the child. That's the mentality that she's got towards the salubri.
What happened next?
So, you will then see Gabriel come into the church, try and check her for a third eye under the guise of praying over her. She's not stupid. She knows what he was doing. You see Cade start trying to get her involved in a genocide against the Giovanni. You see Rita kind of go, an eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind. Where does it stop? It's never going to stop. If you strike out, their beast will answer. This is not an answer. I have to stop this war. You then see, you then sit there and see Cade accuse her of being a seeker because, she knew Thecla. You see, and really in her own way, she kind of was. She just never could find the road. If that makes any sense. And she will admit that.
There is a muted aspect to Guy's emotions. You can tell that she's holding something back, but it's almost like Novocaine tingling at the back of your throat.
She will sit there and go, are you angry? Are you angry with me?
I cannot say that I am angry with you. There's nothing that I would have done differently other than perhaps tore that Golconda seeker apart in sunder. Whether or not Golconda is to be truth and being found, that's for the scholars to debate. Yet to be spouting such heresy in the tower weakens us that much more. The warlocks have a lot to deal with and a lot to answer for. I'm quite curious as to why you're tinged with such flavor towards the Cade.
He told me that Boulevard wanted my ashes.
Boulevard has her ways of acting. Some may even consider it a bit chaotic. I think that they twisted her words to suit their needs. I'm sure she's not going to be very pleased.
Ma'am, the last words you told me were to don't die. You do remember that, right?
I do remember. I told you not to die. Yes.
Please don't be mad at me. Please don't be mad at me. Please don't be mad at me.
Calm down. I am not mad at you at all. I wish to know what happened at this church after they tried and failed to find or to ascertain whether you had another eye.
Well, I thought that they were going to kill me. I literally thought that they were going to kill me. The only thing that I asked was that it not be done in the house of God. So I was taken to it's a lake. I believe it was in the Gargoyles territory, but I'm not entirely sure. I don't know my way around Paducah that well. It was really pretty. I wouldn't have minded meeting Final Death there. It was quite lovely. I mean, it even transfixed me a little. It kind of reminded me of being back home at the Gulf. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. It was not to do that. But he at first attempted to get me to sign a contract, basically stating that I, was going on a path. I told him that I would not work with the Tremere. because I barely know how to be a rose. I've lived among a foreign clan my entire life. I didn't want my loyalties divided like that. But so what you see is he literally gets her to the point where he tells her that the war has already started, that he is a Judas, something called a Judas, that he is going to Vienna, that she was handed papers because he was like, he tried to extort a blood boon out of her, and successfully did it, and then tried to turn it into a life boon with the contract. And she was just like, that's beyond the scope. That's beyond the scope. So he leaves. But he gives her paperwork to hand to Bolivar's Archon. She basically forces him to cash in the life boon, to where she has agreed to craft a third eyeball onto Thecla. She was a hair away from showing her thorns. And then he basically he grinds her to the point that she is just crumpled down on the floor, bawling. Just, I mean, like, because all of these months, everything that she did was for nothing, because the war has already started. You know, you see just, she's crushed. She has nothing. She's wrung out. What you then see is, you know, okay, well, they're back.
This is unacceptable. How dare he be so conniving, and to take a rose down to the point of degradation where she is drug upon the house that she once called home. The house of the Lord for her is almost as sanctified as Elysium. He will pay for such atrocities, I assure you, Sister Rita. I promise and vow to you that I will ensure that Cade suffer and plead before he is granted the bittersweet release of his final death. I will not allow such travesty to go unpunished to one of the garden.
Like, you almost feel her just kind of shrink back at the weight of the anger. But she's not. She's literally, this is what this is what you wanted. And she's, you know, you almost hear imperceptible. There's a small voice in the back of her head just going, "Yes, ma'am."
What happened next, dear?
That he defended her from being a Golconda seeker. He then sits there and basically says that you know, that Bolivar wants her ashes, and you know, she has to sign this contract and spy on an IA Anarch meeting and let him scry her. So she does. I mean, this is, you know, because literally the last words you told her were, "Don't die." Oh, and you also, in that church, you also sit there and see the whole thing of, you need to, you know, you also sit there and you now know that the way that she explains y'all's relationship is that you took pity on a Rose who does not who was raised among a foreign clan. You know, that you know, they sat there and tried to get her to bend your ear, to try and manipulate and to say that, you know, he was a good prince, da 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 da. And she outright rejected it. Like, you know, I will not have a Lamb of God. You know, she is an individual in her own right. Period. I will deliver the message. And she sits there and goes, and she said, and you almost hear the words spat out of her head, consider it delivered. You're getting the feeling that she is starting to stop running.
So far, you have shown to me that the lineage of that Tremere is that the men seem to have quite a small stake in things. So very small little men. It's quite interesting. I wonder what the Harpies would say about such things. Extortion of a boon from an anarch. Then again, to be signed away in a life. And then to have them bring to a Justicar because they wish to carry favor with me? Well, this shall be quite delicious, I assure you. I promise you that they will not see what happens when the rose thorns come and crisp around their necks. Go on.
So next, what you see is, you know, you have to sign a contract. So she, you know, you see her getting ready. And you see the most modest dress she has. It's like yellow. It's like, you know, long sleeved, goes all the way up to the top of the neck, all the way down to the, you know, to her, to like, you know, the floor. She's got, you know, her sandals on. She carries with her, bizarrely, a test tube filled with sand. And she sticks that in her pocket, but she leaves the yellow rosary that Tony gave her as a Christmas present on the thing. You know, in the bedroom. You also see her pin a letter to her brother that is basically, I go to sacrifice either my body or my soul. I don't know which. Because and this is where, you know, like you know, you see that Thecla has called her to tell her that she's blood hunted and don't do anything because, you know, they're going to kill you. You know, that she was a 35, you know, that she was an experiment, that she was like a 30, that she was kidnapped by the head of the line in the head of that line of Tremere. Back in 1985, she was, you know, like, she doesn't know what's real and what's not. She doesn't know who she is. She doesn't know, you know, that all of the things that she did, they forced her to do.
I see.
That, you know, she was like, you know, that you actually hear on the other end of the phone, Thecla go, you know, my discernment that you're constantly throwing off on, I had no choice. I had no choice. Gabriel was a caretaker. I was kidnapped.
You see in the mindset of Guy the same thing. This time, it's of Abigail Fournier. You see her as she puts forth her love and devotion for the garden and how much hatred she had towards Gil. Pulls all of that amalgamation to bring forth empathy and to bring forth sympathy, diluted in a sense of taking forth rainwater that is being taken through a nylon stocking marred with mud.
And again, she has not taken the humanity hit, so there is nothing more than just complete and utter compassion towards Guy, but she knows that she, there is a pressure because she feels like that if she's gone for too long, that that number one, it'll be known, that she's not there. Number two, you also see that she has, well, okay, I don't know if it's been made or not. I literally, like, the player doesn't, but she may or may not have a bloodstone. Like, okay, a bloodstone necklace. She may or may not. The player doesn't know. Like, this was, like, I have no clue. But she may or may not have a bloodstone. And Rita has no clue what that is. But, like, oh God. Okay, so Thecla was a 35-year long, and you literally see that Rita firmly believes that Thecla and that whole experiment thing and that whole lab rat thing was literally the Tremere trying to restart the pogrom against an innocent clan. So literally, this is the culmination of trying to manipulate the Justicariat into getting enough political will to start hunting down, in earnest, like the Salubri. This is firmly, now whether or not it is true, she doesn't know, but this is what she 100% believes, which is the only reason why she went back to sit there and be like, okay, well, I could just sit there and, run away, but that's not, if I run away, then how many more die? They're probably not going to kill me. Probably. I don't know. But in the dress, every inch, as she's getting dressed, she literally, her entire skin has turned into like thousands of mouths with like razor sharp teeth. And they're not connected to her gullet. They are connected to her lungs. They have vocal cords, because what she was going in there to do was to either die screaming the crimes of this clan, or she was going to throw her humanity to try and stop this calamity.
Sister, I believe that we have come to a culmination of your impurity of your way of vows of God. You've thrown those away. You yourself think that you can throw yourself as the all-merciful, and yet here you are pulling yourself, thinking that they are going to listen to you. Is that not a sin, sister?
It's a sacrifice.
Is it not a sin?
It is a sin.
Well, luckily we're not mortals now, are we? I think that it is quite admirable what you're trying to attempt to do. Yet I think that there's something better that would be a solution. Don't go back to them. Instead, create some art.
This is where you sit there and see the whole thing of signing this thing, her basically pushing to torture Thecla, whether or not she dies or not. You see you see her go, I've not seen this before. I did not, this is, they literally tried to make it so that she could not deflect, and she had to answer completely and totally honestly. And you see just how painful that would be.
Oh, yes.
Because this is a family matter. Like, what she is a family matter. Yeah, and she firmly believes it, because she firmly believes that if the Sabbat gets one of them, they will get all of them. You see them break out blood. She doesn't really trust it. But she, that literally they addict her to it, and she rips her dress completely and totally off of herself to reveal all of these, mouths, and like literally she's biting into the bag. She's not even waiting. And
look at what they have done to you, Rose. Look at what they have done to such a Gentile, Rose. Sister, your pain.
What do I do?
Why, simply, my dear, it is too much to bear. You have turned your head away from your God. You have been stripped down to nothing.
Will you end it?
I won't end it, my dear, for I have too much admiration for you. But if you wish for your brothers and sisters of the garden to take notice, strike it where it needs to be shown now. I brought you to Brooklyn for a reason. I figured that you were distraught. You can choose to end your place now. Strike a blow to Empress Irina and show her what beauty the garden has, and show such admiration for her atrocities by displaying into her precious Times Square something of mockery. Let you be the herald along with those of the garden that wish to see her injustice come to an end. You want to die a martyr? That be the best way to do so, darling.
And I have your permission?
But of course, when she's about to kill you, I'll be with you the whole step of the way. I will be linked with you. You will not face death alone. I promise.
I will hold you to that.
I promise you. You will not face death alone. I will be there. And just so that you know, and you see venom start tinging in with such sour and malice, coiling around the thoughts, those earlier barbed wires and razor wires that were holding at bay all of the admiration that you had for Cade, start being tinged with such metallic, sour, tasting malice, engulfing it in nothing but putrid slime. It is such an addictive substance that it is palpable. The metallic sheen of blood and want and revenge. This is the only joy that you see now that she can have. This is where she feels alive. I promise you, I will not make it quick for them. I favored Catherine for a reason. It was to strike a blow to Gabriel.
And you will not let my death go unanswered?
I promise you, I will not. It's quite interesting, isn't it, sister? We started with me confiding in you, And now I'm the one that's taking your confession.
Yeah.
It's a bittersweet, isn't it? I will leave you to your work. I'm sure you can come up with something. And as soon as you do, I promise you, I will keep you here so that you cannot be brought back to them. And
You will have my ashes.
I will have your ashes, and I will turn them into a diamond to be adorned onto a gilded rose. I promise.
Pinky swear?
I pinky swear. Now, set to work. You have a revolution to start, after all.
One thing that you will actually see. Oh God. A question, and it's more a mechanical question. Can you still see outside whenever you actually do a mind meld?
If you choose to, I would say yes. I think it's more flavor text.
You get a question of I'd like you to see me.
Very
Not
well.
And what you see is a dark-skinned little black woman, skinny, muscular. You know what I'm talking about, like the skinny fit.
Yeah.
Her hair is natural. It's cropped really short. She's got these really, she doesn't have a lot of curves, but she's got, she's not unattractive, but she's not like a striking woman. You can tell that she's had a life of hard work. Ma'am?
Yes.
I'm Annabelle.
It is a pleasure to meet you, Annabelle.
Don't let it go to waste.
I promise you. With your final death, you will set in motion the death of a tyrant and the death of an egomaniacal, disruptive, Sabbat infiltrator. For I truly believe your words. I think that she is. Irina. She will die. Now, set to work, my child. You have much to do. And I give you the ability of doing so. With any need that you want, whatever material, I will bring it to you.
Limestone. It's
Very
softer.
well. Very well. Now, I will ensure that you stay put.
Where? Here?
You'll be free. Don't you feel it? You finally have your freedom. You're getting to write your ending. Most of us don't.
I welcome it as an old friend.
Well, Annabelle, I am going to set my own plan in action, and I promise you, both Kate and Gabriel will know your name right before I end their miserable existence.
Very well.
And scene. Woo!